Association football is the most popular sport in nearly every Asian country, and 13 members of the Asian Football Confederation AFC have competed at the sport's biggest event, the Men's FIFA World Cup. Summary of performance: this table shows the number of countries represented at the World Cup, the number of entries from around the world including any rejections and withdrawals, the number of Asian entries, how many of those Asian entries withdrawn before during qualification or were rejected by FIFA, the Asian representatives at the World Cup finals, the number of World Cup qualifiers each Asian representative had to play to get to the World Cup, the furthest stage reached, results, and coaches. Overview: competitive record, 1938, the first Asian nation at the World Cup, the Indonesian team, prior to independence in 1945. Competed as the Dutch East Indies national football team. Under this name, Indonesia was the first Asian team to participate in the FIFA World Cup when the team qualified for the 1938 tournament after its opponent, Japan, withdrew from the qualification heats. The 6-0 loss to eventual finalists, the Hungarian national football team, in the first round of the tournament in Reims, France, remains the nation's only appearance in the World Cup. The straight knockout format used at the time made it the only game ever played by the Indonesians. Thus, Indonesia holds the FIFA World Cup record as the team with the fewest matches played and one of the teams with the fewest goals scored. They were 15th place in the rankings. 1950, India's withdrawal: Burma, Philippines and Indonesia withdrew after qualifying, so India qualified automatically. India later also withdrew because of the expense of travelling. Others teams economized by sailing, rather than flying, to the tournament. FIFA decided not to invite another team, leaving the World Cup 3 teams short. 1954, South Korea's first World Cup. In the 1954 FIFA World Cup qualification, the Asian zone was allocated one place in the final tournament. In the 1954 World Cup qualification, 3 countries from the AFC participated. The China Prairie withdrew, South Korea won against Japan and for the first time qualified for the World Cup. South Korea lost twice, 0-9 to Hungary and 0-7 to Turkey. They were 16th place in the rankings. 1958 and 1962, World Cup without Asia. At the 1958 World Cup qualification, FIFA rejected South Korea's entry. Qualifications were held with Africa, Turkey, Cyprus and the China Prairie withdrew in the first qualification round, Indonesia and Egypt in second. Sudan withdrew in the final qualification round as they refused to play against Israel for political reasons. Israel technically would have qualified automatically, but before the qualification rounds began, FIFA ruled that no team would qualify without playing at least one match, and Israel had yet to play any. A special playoff was created between Israel and the runner-up of one of the UEFA groups, where the teams played against each other on a home and away basis, with the winner qualifying. After Belgium refused, Wales, the runner-up of UEFA Group 4, was the team drawn from the UEFA Group runners-up. Israel lost both times 0-2 and did not reach the World Cup. There was only one round of play at the 1962 FIFA World Cup qualification. The 3 teams played against each other on a home and away basis. The group winner would advance to the UEFA AFC Intercontinental Playoff. Indonesia withdrew. South Korea won twice against Japan and advanced to the UEFA AFC Intercontinental Playoff. South Korea lost both times against Yugoslavia and did not reach the World Cup. 1966, North Korea's impressive performance, AFC, CAF, OFC confederations competed together in the qualification rounds after having no teams from Africa or Asia qualifying for the previous 2 World Cups. FIFA decided to allocate a single spot to the winner of a 4-way playoff between the winners of 3 African groups and the winner of the Asian zone. South Africa was suspended by FIFA due to apartheid. All 15 remaining African teams withdrew in protest against there being no automatic qualification for an African team, leaving the AFCA Euro OFC winner to qualify by default. Japan then withdrew because the 3-team tournament was moved from Japan to Cambodia, leaving only Australia and North Korea to contest the final place. because North Korea lacked diplomatic relations with most countries, finding a suitable venue for the match proved difficult, until head of state Norodom Sihanouk, an ally of Kim Il-sung, agreed to hosting the matches in Phnom Penh. North Korea easily won both legs to qualify. North Korea qualified for the 8th FIFA World Cup held in England. North Korea got to Group 4. North Korea lost the first game against the USSR by 0-3, the second was 1-1 against Chile. However, in an upset North Korea beat Italy 1-0 at Ayers Park, Middlesbrough and finished above them, thus earning qualification to the next round along with the USSR. This was the first time that a nation from outside Europe or the Americas had progressed from the first stage of a World Cup. In their match against Portugal they lead 3-0 after only 22 minutes. Portugal's user copyright Bio changed the pace, scoring 4 goals in the game, and Jose copyright Augusto added a fifth in the 78th minute to earn Portugal a 5-3 win. In a 1999 documentary featuring interviews with surviving members of the team, they described themselves as having been welcomed home as national heroes. 1970, Israel debut at the World Cup. The 1970 AFC and OFC FIFA World Cup qualification were held together. Israel, New Zealand and Rhodesia received byes and advanced to the second round directly. The remaining 3 teams, Australia, Japan and South Korea, played against each other twice in South Korea. Australia advanced to the second round Group 1 and won over Rhodesia and advanced to the final round. In Group 2 Israel advanced to the final round when they defeated New Zealand twice. North Korea, despite their good performance in the previous tournament staged in England in 1966, refused to play in Israel and withdrew. In the final round Israel defeated Australia 2-1 on aggregate and got to the World Cup. Israel qualified for their only World Cup to date as an Asian team. However, soon after this, they left the Asian Football Confederation, and now compete in the European zone as they are now a member of UEFA. As of 2014, this is Israel's only World Cup finals appearance. Israel lost their first game 0-2 against Uruguay, the other ended in a 1-1 draw against Sweden and 0-0 with Italy. Israel ranked last place in the group and withdrew from the tournament. The team finished 13 out of the 16 teams 11. 1974, another World Cup without Asian nations, the Asian and Oceania zone competed for one place in the World Cup. India, Sri Lanka and the Philippines withdrew before the matches were played. The remaining 15 teams were divided into 2 zones, based on geographical and political considerations. Zone A had 7 teams. All matches were played in the Republic of Korea. Zone B had 8 teams. South Korea won Zone A and Australia Zone B. In the final round South Korea and Australia were tied 2-2 on aggregate score, and a playoff on neutral ground was played to decide the qualifier. The match was played in Hong Kong. Australia won this match, through a Jimmy Mackay goal, scored off a free kick. 1978, Iran's debut, a total of 21 AFC and OFC teams and Israel entered the competition. However, South Vietnam could not compete after being annexed by Vietnam. The Asian zone was allocated 1 place in the final tournament. The 21 teams would be divided into 5 groups. Sri Lanka, North Korea, Iraq and the United Arab Emirates withdrew. Hong Kong, South Korea, Iran, Kuwait and Australia won in their group. Iran won the final group and qualified for the FIFA World Cup for the first time. The group consisted of Iran, Netherlands, Peru, and Scotland. Iran, the reigning Asian champion, went out of the tournament winless. Iran lost 2 of their 3 group stage games, 0-3 against the Netherlands and 1-4 against Peru. However, they managed to draw 1-1 against Scotland with a late Rajdhan Ifard goal. The team finished 14 out of the 16 teams. 1982, Kuwait's debut, a total of 21 AFC and OFC teams entered the qualification. Iran withdrew before the draw was made. The Asian and Oceania zone was allocated 2 places in the final tournament. The remaining 20 teams would be divided into 4 groups. New Zealand, Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, China Prairie advanced to the final round. In the final round, Kuwait ranked first place and immediately qualified to the World Cup. The China Prairie and New Zealand finished level on points and goal difference, and a playoff on neutral ground was played to decide the qualifier. Kuwait won 2-1 and qualified to the World Cup for the first time. Kuwait's group consisted of Czechoslovakia, England, and France. In the opening match, Kuwait held Czechoslovakia to a 1-1 draw. In the game between Kuwait and France, with France leading 3-1, France midfielder Alain Giresse scored a goal vehemently contested by the Kuwait team, who had stopped play after hearing a piercing whistle from the stands, which they thought had come from Soviet referee Miroslav Stupa. Play had not yet resumed when Sheikh Fayed El Ahmad Al Sabah, brother of the Kuwaiti Emir and president of the Kuwaiti Football Association, rushed onto the pitch to remonstrate with the referee. Stupa countermanded his initial decision and disallowed the goal to the fury of the French. Maxime Bosses scored another valid goal a few minutes later and France won 4-1. Kuwait lost the third game 0-1 against England. Kuwait finished fourth in group and 21st out of the 24 teams. 1986, Iraq's debut, South Korea's return, a total of 27 AFC teams entered the competition. The Asian zone was allocated 2 places in the final tournament. Teams were divided into 2 zones, based on geographical considerations. Zone A had 13 teams and Zone B had 14 teams. Lebanon, Oman withdrew. Iran was disqualified. Iraq won Zone A final round, South Korea won Zone B. Iraq and South Korea qualified for the 1986 World Cup. As of 2010, this was the last time Iraq qualified for the finals. Iraq lost all 3 games, 0-1 against Paraguay, 1-2 against Belgium, 0-1 against Mexico and finished 23 out of the 24 teams. South Korea qualified for the first time since 1954. In the first game South Korea lost 1-3 against Argentina, in the second with Bulgaria drew 1-1 in a downpour, and in the third lost 2-3 against Italy. South Korea finished 20 out of the 24 teams. 1990, United Arab Emirates' first World Cup, 26 teams were in the running for these spots. Bahrain, India, Maldives and South Yemen withdrew without playing a qualifying match. The Maldives withdrew before the final draw, leaving 25 teams to be divided into 6 groups of 4 or 5 teams each. South Korea, United Arab Emirates, Qatar, China Prairie, Saudi Arabia, North Korea advanced to the final round. South Korea and the United Arab Emirates qualified for the 1990 FIFA World Cup, taking the first 2 places. The United Arab Emirates qualified for the FIFA World Cup for the first time, its only appearance to date, but lost all 3 of its games, 2-0 to Colombia, 5-1 to West Germany and 4-1 to Yugoslavia. All 3 of the UAE's first-round opponents reached the last 16. They were 24th place in the rankings. South Korea also lost all its 3 games, 0-2 to Belgium, 1-3 to Spain, 0-1 to Uruguay and finished 22 out of 24 teams. 1994, Saudi Arabia reaches the round of 16, a total of 30 teams entered the qualification. The Asian zone was allocated 2 places in the final tournament. The 30 teams were divided into 6 groups of 5 teams each, although Myanmar and Nepal withdrew after playing no match. The teams would play against each other twice. The group winners would advance to the final round. Iraq, Iran, North Korea, South Korea, Saudi Arabia, Japan advanced to the final round, Saudi Arabia and South Korea taking the first 2 places and qualifying for the World Cup. Saudi Arabia qualified for the World Cup finals for the first time. Their group consisted of Belgium, Netherlands, Saudi Arabia and Morocco. Saudi Arabia lost its first game 1-2 against Netherlands, although they scored the first goal. Later they beat Morocco 2-1. Against Belgium, the Saudi player Saad Al-Awarian ran from his own half through a maze of Belgian players to score the game's only goal. Both teams went through. For the much-fancied Dutch, however, progression to the second round was a somewhat nervous experience. Netherlands won the group, Saudi Arabia finished second and Belgium qualified as one of the best third-placed teams. In the first knockout stage match, Saudi Arabia faced Sweden and lost 1-3 after 2 goals from Kenneth Anderson and 1 from Martin Dahlin. They were 12th place in the rankings. South Korea's World Cup began with 2 draws against Spain, 2-2, and Bolivia, 0-0. However, they lost the decisive match 2-3 against the title holder Germany. They were 20th place in the rankings. 1998, 4 Asian nations at the World Cup, a total of 36 teams entered the competition. The Asian zone was allocated 3.5 places in the final tournament. Iran, Japan, Saudi Arabia and South Korea qualified for the 1998 FIFA World Cup. Japan qualified for the first time. Saudi Arabia were in Group C with South Africa from the Confederation of African Football, UEFA's Denmark and hosts France. Saudi Arabia started with a 1-0 defeat by Denmark. Next, France scored 4 to eliminate Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia, which again failed to show any resemblance to the 1994 team that reached the second round, played most of the game with 10 men after defender Mohamed El Khelaifi was given a direct red card in the 19th minute for a poor tackle on Lizarazu. Forward Thierry Henry scored 2 goals, David Trezeguet and Bixent Lizarazu also scored for France. With 2 goals against Saudi Arabia, South Africa led, but watched in horror as the Saudis scored on 2 penalty kicks to gain a 2-2 draw. The Saudis entered the match under new coach Mohamed El Karashi, a longtime assistant, after Brazilian Carlos Alberto Pereira was fired following the 4-0 loss to France. Japan lost all 3 matches. Japan lost its first 2 fixtures, 1-0 to Argentina, Gabriel Batistuta scoring for Argentina against the Samurai Blue, knocking the ball over the Japanese goalkeeper on the edge of the penalty area, and a late goal from Angstrom Jurka earning Croatia a narrow victory and setting them up with a place in the next round. Japan was eliminated from the tournament. Their campaign ended with an unexpected 2-1 defeat to rank outsiders Jamaica. 2 goals from Theodore Whitmore gave Jamaica their first ever win in the World Cup finals. Nakayama had the honor of scoring Japan's first goal in the finals in the second half. Iran's first game of Group F was played against Yugoslavia, narrowly losing 1-0, only to a free-kick goal by Sinyor Mihailovia. Iran recorded their first World Cup victory in the second game, beating the United States 2-1, with Astilai and Mardavikia scoring goals for Iran. The Iran vs USA World Cup match was preheated with much excitement because of each country's political stance after the Iranian Revolution. However, in an act of defiance against all forms of hatred or politics in sports, both sides presented one another with gifts and flowers and took ceremonial pictures before the match kickoff. Following the defeat by Iran, the United States were eliminated from the World Cup. Iran played Germany in the third game. The game was lost 2-0. The goals were scored by Bayarov and Klinsmann. The 1 win and 2 defeats left Iran third in the final group standing, unable to make it to the next round. South Korea came into the 1998 FIFA World Cup without a single win to their name in their 14 World Cup finals games prior to this. South Korea played Mexico, Netherlands and Belgium. In the first game, South Korea led in the 27th minute thanks to a Ha Sok-ju free kick that was deflected into the Mexican goal. A couple of minutes after the goal was scored, Ha Sok-ju was sent off for a bad challenge from behind. The Koreans' unregistered trademark demise had begun. Mexico leveled the score through half-time substitute, Ricardo Peláez. With about 15 minutes remaining, Luis Hernandez put Mexico in the lead with a simple tap-in. Hernandez then went on to complete the rout with a third goal. South Korea had to wait 4 more years to record their first ever victory in a World Cup. Next game against the Netherlands was lost by 0-5. It was the third worst loss in South Korea's World Cup history. Third game was with the Belgium. A big win would have given Belgium a chance of progressing, and an early goal by Luc Nilis might have set them on the way. The Koreans mounted stiff resistance, and in the second half, Yoo Sang-chul scored their equalizer. 2002, South Korea and Japan hosted the World Cup. South Korea and Japan were selected as hosts by FIFA on May 31, 1996. Initially, South Korea, Japan, and Mexico presented 3 rival bids. However, the 2 Asian countries agreed to unite their bids shortly before the decision was made, and they were chosen unanimously in preference to Mexico. This was the first World Cup to be hosted by 2 countries. The 2002 FIFA World Cup was the 17th staging of the FIFA World Cup. It was also the first World Cup held in Asia, and the last in which the golden goal rule was implemented. South Korea and Japan, the co-hosts, qualified automatically, leaving 2.5 spots open for competition between 40 teams. Myanmar withdrew from the tournament after being placed in Group 2 but before any matches had been played, therefore reducing the group to 3 teams. Afghanistan, Bhutan, North Korea and Timor-Leste did not participate in the qualification process. Asia's 2 remaining automatic qualifying berths were taken by Saudi Arabia and China Prairie. Iran failed to become a 3rd Asian representative in the World Cup after losing their AFC UEFA playoff against Republic of Ireland. China Prairie qualified for the finals for the first time. China Prairie, coached by Bora Milutinovia, failed to get a point or even score a goal. As football is widely followed in China, national team success is considered to be a source of national pride. Around 300 million people tuned into broadcasts of China's 2002 World Cup matches, with a staggering 170 million new television sets being bought by citizens in order to watch their nation's first World Cup appearance. First game was against Costa Rica. Costa Rica dealt China Prairie a harsh blow by taking the lead against the run of play on 61 minutes. Ronald Gomez's slick back heel played Wan Chopin, and Wu Xinang's challenge only popped the ball up for Gomez to fire in a left-foot shot. China Prairie had no time to gather their thoughts before they were 2-0 down. China's best moment of the first half came on 39 minutes when they broke quickly after fending off a Costa Rica free kick. Second game against Brazil was defeat 0-4. China Prairie looked lively and appeared to be enjoying themselves. Even when they overhit the ball, but China Prairie couldn't do anything about Roberto Carlos' left-foot free kick in the 15th minute. More 2 goals scores Ronaldo and 1 Ronaldinho. China Prairie searched for their first goal of the tournament with Turkey. After playing for 10 minutes already lost to 0-2. Just before the half-hour, China Prairie almost scored their first goal of the tournament when Yang Chen hit the post. Hassan Saz again set up Turkey with a cross to the far post, this time for Umit Davla to score off the post. China Prairie for failing to score goals and was forced to leave the tournament. South Korea beat Poland 2-0 after Wang Sun-hong and Yoo Sang-chul goals. The first real chance for the home side came in the 20th minute, when Yoo Sang-chul shot across the face of an outstretched Dudk. South Korea started to apply more pressure and took the lead in the 25th minute. Lee Yor-young played the ball into Wang Sun-hong, who hit the ball first time to lift the roof off the stadium. In the 53rd minute South Korea earned their second goal. Yoo Sang-chul runs toward Thomas Waldeck and Radoslav Kaluzy, then confidently shoots between them and past Dudk. Even the president of Korea is waving his hat. Korea are on their way to their first ever win in the World Cup finals. In second match, United States' first real chance of the game fell to Clint Mathis, who scored with a left-foot drive from the middle of the area. Ahn Yoo-hwan's glancing header completely stunned the impressive Brad Friedel, who seemed rooted to the spot and stared in disbelief as the ball flew past him and into the net. 78 minutes. South Korea missed the chance to take all the points right at the end when Choi Yong-soo stabbed another shot over the bar with only Friedel to beat. Third match against Portugal. They need a win to be guaranteed a place in the second round. 1 point apiece will do South Korea and the USA. The Koreans fully deserved to reach the last 16 for the first time in their history after tearing apart a Portuguese side who had Johnny Pinto and Beto sent off. 70-minute Park Ji-sung smashes in a brilliant goal for Korea. In the round of 16, South Korea beat Italy 2-1 in sudden death extra time. Christian Vieri eventually headed Italy in the lead, from Francesco Totti's corner, in the 18th minute. Ahn Yoo-hwan had the best chance for Korea in the 36th minute, when he shot over the bar from close range. The stadium erupted 2 minutes from time as Christian Panucci failed to clear the ball out and Sol Ki-yun pounced on his mistake. Totti received his second yellow card for diving in the area, and Giovanni Trapattoni was so furious he hit the perspex behind him. 103 minutes. 10-man Italy finally fell to a 117th minute header from Perugia's Ahn Yoo-hwan, a golden goal. In the quarter-finals, Spain were unable to win a second consecutive penalty shootout, losing to South Korea after having 2 goals controversially disallowed in normal time, with South Korea becoming the first team from outside Europe and the Americas to reach the last 4 of a World Cup. Host South Korea have already claimed the scalps of Portugal and Italy as they sought to defeat a third European nation. 4 minutes after the restart and a Spanish goal was disallowed. Hard to see why. Unless you believe in conspiracy theories. Spain had another goal disallowed, when the linesman judged that the ball had gone out of play before Morientes planted the header. In the 100th minute, Morientes turned on a long throw and crashed his shot against the left post, a shot worthy of the golden goal. Koreans won 5-3 on penalties. South Korea's penalty win gives them a semi-final match with Germany. Conspiracy theories aside, South Korea are the first Asian side to reach a World Cup semi-finals. Well, they are the hosts. Or one of them at least. The game started slowly, South Korea keeping possession well and Germany content to keep the volume of the crowd down. Half-time end 0-0. To make up for missing the next match, because of his 71st minute yellow card, Michael Ballack made sure that at least his team would be in the final by running onto Oliver Neuville's low cross. Ballack's right foot shot was blocked by Lee Woon-jae. But the Leverkusen star followed up with his left and secured Germany a place in the 2002 World Cup final. So the conspiracy theories can end. Although we all know South Korea didn't want to play in Yokohama and will enjoy the third-place match in Daegu with Turkey. Turkey won third place after an entertaining 3-2 victory over host South Korea, in a match that included the fastest ever World Cup goal, scored by Parma striker and Turkey veteran Hakan Angstrom, a one-quarter after just 11 seconds. Lee Yol-young replied in the 9th minute, with a curling free kick into the top right-hand corner. Then Ilhan Mounses put Turkey back in front in the 13th minute, after splitting the South Korean defense by playing a swift 1-2 with Hakan Suka. Ilhan Mounses combined with Hakan Suka again to increase Turkey's lead, with a little over half an hour gone. Song Chong-guk managed to stun Ruster when his long shot deflected off Kaduri's bottom, in injury time, for a last consolation goal that ended the game on a slight high note for the home fans. At the final whistle, both teams joined hands, congratulated each other and applauded the supporters. Saudi Arabia were eliminated as the worst team in tournament, after 3 defeats and no goals scored, including an 0-8 loss to Germany, 0-1 to Cameroon and 0-3 to Ireland. Hosts Japan topped the group with 2 wins and a draw. In first match they drew 2-2 Belgium. Mark Wilmots breaks the deadlock with a beautiful overhead kick. 57 minutes. 2 minutes later Japan's tactics pay off as Takayuki Suzuki, running into the area, gets his foot to Ono's visionary pass from the halfway line. If the stadium had atmosphere before, it's unbelievable now as Ono shaves the crossbar from a free kick, shortly after his long ball helped bring Japan level. With 20 minutes still to go, the stadium is like a volcano erupting as Arsenal's Junichi Inamoto runs through 3 defenders to plant Japan in the lead. 5 minutes later Japan's fans are momentarily silenced when Peter van der Heyden, beating the offside trap on the edge of the area, neatly lobs Seigo Narazaki as he comes off his line. Japanese team advanced to the second round with a 1-0 win over Russia and a 2-0 victory against Tunisia. Japan registered their first ever World Cup finals victory. However, they subsequently exited the tournament during the round of 16. In the round of 16 they lost 0-1 by Turkey. Umut Davla headed Turkey into the lead, from Igunpenbe's corner, in the 12th minute. An Alessandro Santos free kick crashed against the woodwork later on, to give the Japanese some hope for the second half. Japan made a couple of substitutions at half-time as they looked for fresh initiative, and Hidetoshi Nakata deflected shot almost troubled Rusto in the Turkish goal. Japan continued to look for the equalizer, with Akinori Nishizawa's header on target and Tomozaku Myojin shooting narrowly wide. With 10 minutes left in the game, Nishizawa's shot flew over the bar, and with it Japan's hopes of a place in the quarter-finals. 2006, Iran returned to the World Cup. 44 Asian teams are affiliated with FIFA, but Cambodia, Philippines, Bhutan and Brunei decided not to take part, and Myanmar was banned from the competition, so a total of 39 teams took part, competing for 4.5 places in the World Cup. Saudi Arabia, South Korea, Japan and Iran qualified for the 2006 FIFA World Cup. Iran started their 2006 FIFA World Cup appearance with high expectations from fans and media. Their first match was against Mexico in Group D. The game was level 1-1 at the half-time, but Iran lost at the end because of a defensive mistake. The final score, 3-1, was brought about by goals from Omar Bravo and Zina for Mexico, with Yahya Mahdi scoring the only Iran goal. Iran played against Portugal in the second game. The game was lost 2-0. The goals were scored by Deco and Cristiano Ronaldo. The two losses meant Iran was eliminated from the competition, before their third and final game against Angola. Iran drew 1-1 with Angola on the 21st of June 2006, Sohrab Bakhtiarizadeh scoring the Iran goal. Japan also failed to advance to the round of 16 after finishing the group without a win, losing to Australia 1-3. Shunsuke Nakamura scores first, but Australia scores 3 goals from 84 minutes. It was steep psychological shock, after which the team fall apart. Later drawing with Croatia 0-0. After defeats in the opening game, both Japan and Croatia seemed reluctant to take any early risks, and for 20 minutes nothing much seemed to happen. 21-minute Niko Kranjcar missed penalty. 5 minutes into the second half, the ball arrived at the far post, but Atsushi Yanagisawa horrendously missed an open goal and skewed the ball back across the goalmouth. Third game Japan losing to Brazil 1-4, while the first scores. With 1 point they retain the group last. South Korea won first match against Togo 2-1, despite the defeat. Chun-Soo Lee and Yoo Hwan-un scores 2 goals for South Korea. South Korea won their first World Cup finals match outside their own country. In the second game against France Thierry Henry scored in 9 minutes, but Park Ji-sung leveled the score in 80 minutes. Before the last match against Switzerland, Korea had a good chance to get to round of 16. Switzerland improved their chances of finishing top of the group and meeting Ukraine in the second round, when Philippe Sandiras headed a goal from Hakan Yakin's free kick, in the 23rd minute. He headed with such determination, he almost broke his nose on the defender's head. France went ahead against Togo in the 55th minute, which would mean that if Switzerland won here, South Korea would be out. Switzerland's star striker, Alexander Frey, doubled Switzerland's lead with 13 minutes to go. France also won and South Korea was eliminated from the competition. Saudi Arabia drew the first match with Tunisia 2-2. Saudi Arabia lead to the 93rd minute, but Radi Jadi leveled the score. The next game against Ukraine was lost 0-4. Saudi Arabia knew before kickoff they had to score at least 4 goals to stand a chance of qualifying, but survival was clearly priority number 1 as they allowed Spain, who had changed their entire first 11, to feel their way into the match. Juanito scored at the 39th minute and buried the chance to get to the next stage. 2010, South Korea and Japan reaches the round of 16, North Korea's return, 43 teams were in the running for these spots. Laos, Brunei and the Philippines did not attempt to qualify. This was the first time Timor-Leste competed in World Cup qualification and the first time Australia attempted to qualify for the World Cup as a member of the AFC, having moved from the Asian Football Confederation at the start of 2006. Asia's 4 automatic qualifying berths were taken by Australia, Japan and both North and South Korea. North Korea qualified for the first time since 1966. The draw placed North Korea in Group G. He played their first match against 5-time winners Brazil on June 15, with Brazil winning 2-1 in a game where North Korea were well organized defensively and showed resilience, frustrating the Brazilians. Despite their best efforts, they were nevertheless outmatched and eventually broken down. Macon's relief was visible after his goal to finally put Brazil ahead. Their next game was against Portugal on June 21, with a defeat of 0-7. Despite starting well, with a defensive, well-organized approach, once Portugal scored the first, the Koreans' defense unfolded and the rest followed with relative ease. Finally Qatar for on June 25, which Qatar won 3-0. After losing all 3 matches in the group stages, they were knocked out, finishing at the bottom of Group G. Group B consisted of Argentina, Nigeria, South Korea and Greece. South Korea registered the first win at the World Cup 2010, a richly deserved 2-0 victory against Greece to give them a real chance of achieving their ambition of a last 16 berth, who was sent packing by goals from Lee Young-soo and captain Park Ji-sung. A second game South Korea defeat to Argentina 1-4. Real Madrid striker Gonzalo Higuain scored a hat-trick. Park Chu-young scored own goal. Lee Chung-yong scored consolation goal. South Korea coach Ha Young-moo, who played against Maradona at the 1986 World Cup, saw his team struggle to live with Argentina's quick tempo and the quality of their pass and move football. The decisive match was with Nigeria. The match ended 2-2. For South Korea, it was a night of triumph. Paired with Argentina's defeat of Greece, this draw sealed their first adventure beyond the group stages on foreign soil. As the final whistle sounded, the Korean players wiped away tears of celebration and knelt in a circle to say a prayer of thanks in front of their own fans. South Korea progressed from Group B as runners-up to face Uruguay in the last 16. The South Koreans, who reached the semi-finals in 2002, were effervescent in their attacking third but flaky in defense, and that was exposed as early as the 8th minute. Atletico Madrid's Diego Forlán was fed on the left and played a low ball across the 6-yard area which was misjudged by keeper Young Sung-ryung and his statuesque defense but not by Suarez at the far post, who calmly slotted in for his second goal of the competition. But the South Koreans' luck finally changed for the better on 68 minutes when, from a free kick, Bolton's Lee Chung-yong pounced on Mauricio Victorino's attempted headed clearance, to nod in from 8 yards. It was the first goal Uruguay had conceded in the tournament. With 10 minutes remaining, Luis Suarez lurked on the fringes of the 18-yard area as a corner was swung in from the right. He cut in from the left before curling in as sweet a strike as any in the tournament so far to leave keeper Young Sung-ryung rooted as the ball clipped the post on its way in. The South Koreans pressed and should have taken the game into extra time, but substitute Lee Dong-guk's weak shot squirmed under the wet jersey of Muslera before it was comfortably cleared. Australia were drawn into Group D of the 2010 FIFA World Cup, featuring 3-time world champion Germany, Ghana and Serbia. On June 14, 2010, Australia faced Germany in Durban. Pim Verbeek surprisingly chose to play without a recognised striker. Australia were comprehensively defeated 4-0. Pim Verbeek was heavily criticised for his tactics, with chief SBS football analyst Craig Foster calling for his immediate sacking. Australia's second group match against Ghana resulted in a draw of 1-1. Australia shot its only goal early in the first half by Brett Holman after Ghana's goalkeeper Richard Kingson fumbled the ball following a Mark Brosiano free kick. Shortly after, a goal-bound strike from Ghana's Jonathan Mensah was blocked on the goal line by Harry Quell's upper arm, resulting in a penalty kick and a straight red card for Quell. Ghanaian striker Asamoah Gyan scored the equalising goal. Despite the man advantage, Ghana were mostly limited to long-range shots on Australia's goal, and some desperate defending from Australia saw the game finish a draw. In their final group match against Serbia, Tim Cahill was back from suspension and scored via a header in the second half to allow Australia to go 1-0 up. Only 4 minutes later, Brett Holman doubled the scoreline to 2-0 with an impressive long-range effort. Late in the second half, Serbia managed to score a late goal through Marco Pantilia after Australian goalkeeper Mark Schwarzer fumbled the ball, and the game ended 2-1. Germany had defeated Ghana 1-0, which meant that both Australia and Ghana finished on 4 points, but Ghana progressed to the knockout stage due to their superior goal difference. Pim Verbeek completed his term as Australian coach at the end of the 2010 World Cup. Japan hung on to claim their first ever World Cup victory on foreign soil. They won 1-0 against Cameroon. The only goal came in the 39th minute when Keisuke Honda controlled a cross at the far post and stabbed the ball past Hamidou Souleymane. The second game Japan lost 0-1 to the Netherlands. Wesley Sneijder's powerful 52nd-minute winner from just outside the box settled a fascinating Group E contest between two contrasting sides who opened up in the second half and were creating good chances right up to the final whistle. Loitering just outside the penalty area, the Inter Milan star lashed a powerful right-foot shot towards goal that keeper Eiji Kawashima could only deflect into the net when he was well placed to make an effective save. Japan had the best chance to level the score 1 minute from time, but unmarked substitute Shinji Okazaki fired over from 10 yards. The decisive match was with Denmark. Midfielder Keisuke Honda bent a 30-yard free kick past Dean Merker unregistered trademark Stoke keeper Thomas Sorensen with 17 minutes gone. And, 13 minutes later, teammate Yasuhito Endo fired past Sorensen unregistered trademark outstretched hand. Takeshi Okada unregistered trademark side had to survive a late scare as John Dahl Tomasson tapped in a rebound after Eiji Kawashima saved the Denia unregistered trademark penalty. But sub Shinji Okazaki unregistered trademark 88th minute strike clinched second place. Japan to face the Paraguay in the last 16. The match was decided by a penalty shootout after the score was locked at 0-0 for 120 minutes. Paraguay won the shootout and progressed to its first ever World Cup quarter-final. The match was a generally unexciting affair, as Japan adopted a defensive posture while Paraguay itself maintained a solid defense. The first half produced the occasional chance on goal, with Lucas Barrios having a shot saved shortly before a long-distance shot from Daisuke Matsui hit the crossbar of Paraguay's goal. The second half was similar, with either side producing occasional chances to score rather than periods of dominance. The result of the deadlock was extra time, which continued goalless. A penalty shootout ensued, in which Yuichi Kamano missed a spot kick for Japan. Paraguay scored all 5 of its penalties, clinching the win and passage to the quarter-finals. 2014, no wins for Asians. The 2014 FIFA World Cup in Brazil marked the first time since 1990 where no Asian team managed to win a game, and AFC also was the only confederation without both wins and teams in the knockout stages. 3 of Asia's 4 qualifiers returned from 2010, Australia, Japan and South Korea. Australia was eliminated early despite good performances against Chile and the Netherlands that ended as close losses, and then got defeated in a 3-0 blowout to Spain, which also had no chances at qualifying. Japan opened the score against Côte d'Ivoire, but lost the lead on the way to a 1-2 defeat. In the following games the Japanese failed to break Greece's tight defense and finished in a goalless draw, and afterwards, despite equalizing Colombia at half-time, lost 4-1 to an early exit. South Korea opened the score against Russia in a blunder by goalkeeper Igor Akinfeev, but wound up giving the equalizing goal shortly afterwards. A high-scoring match with Algeria had the Koreans defeated 4-2, and a 1-0 loss to Belgium finished the Korean campaign. Meanwhile, Iran returned after 8 years. After a 0-0 draw with Nigeria, the Iranian defense held Argentina goalless for most of the match before a Lionel Messi goal in injury time. Needing to beat the already eliminated Bosnia-Herzegovina to clinch the group second spot in the knockout stages, Iran wound up defeated 3-1. Notes. References. External links: FIFA Fact Sheet, History of the FIFA World Cup Preliminary Competition.